This meeting is being recorded.
So everyone knows. Okay, no. This section is the pedagogy, right? And this is the section that I told you they're extra tricky with their wording. You have to be a very mindful reader because it's not about the content anymore. It's about language
Sorry.
acquisition. No, no worries.
Oh,
Can
there.
you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, excellent. It's about language acquisition, right? So it's no longer about um the other language other than English or Spanish or whatever, language it is. It's about your application of pedagogy. So, and part of that is understanding language acquisition, how people, students at different ages acquire language, like how best to help and support them acquire language. Language acquisition. This section also covers the integration of the standards in curriculum and instruction. So, your integration of your content standards and applying them in your curriculum and your instruction. So, and you've seen that standards document. It's in that
Yeah.
Google Drive.
Uh,
So, right.
maybe here.
So that's what, this section is about. And that your assessment of languages. So your planning for instruction, your application of the curriculum, and your assessment, instruction and assessment. So in pedagogy, um, which is the art, the science, the craft, because you're a scientist, you're a crafts person, and what else did I say? An artist, honestly, what teachers are able to do and see and construct and build, um, and sometimes with little resources. So it's kind of magical. But
Hmm.
pedagogy is instruction and assessment, right? Our planning of instruction specifically for the students that we have in our classroom. Now, for in a language other than English classroom or a Spanish class, you are going to have students in, let's say, Spanish 1 with varying skill levels, right?
Mhm.
Each student is going to come to you with a different level. You might have some that you can group together, but they're going to have varying skill levels in each of the areas of language that we are trying to build. So just because they're advanced high like listeners doesn't mean they're advanced high speakers. They might
Right.
still need supports, right?
Right.
You might be at the more unskilled or beginner level. So we have all of that difference in the classroom. Then we have difference of culture, we have difference of home support, like the view that their parents believe that the second language is valuable matters, and so sometimes it's unfortunate, and they probably won't ask you this on the exam, but it is something to think about as a language other than English teacher. Just because I've had particular interns that have had really sort of challenging experiences in the beginning, setting up or building their students' motivation by being invested in the content area, because it was just something that was a requirement. And in some of the towns, they were very conservative, and like at the time I'd been listening to a lot of Trump rhetoric. And so a lot of the students were, yeah, I mean, it was pretty scary. We're
Yeah.
reiterating the fact that they don't need to learn Spanish, like they need to learn like
Right.
a useful other language, and then go on and say the things that Trump said. But you can't just say, "Oh, this is too hard. I give up with these people." They're young. You have to show them what's good and amazing about your content. Build the
Mhm.
rapport, build the respect between them, and show them the culture and the language and the food and all of it to get that intrinsic buy-in, to see that this is actually something that is, it doesn't, you can show how many different countries speak Spanish and how like useful it is to have, especially in Texas, but not just Texas, like most of the United States has a very high population of Spanish speakers. The only other language that compares is like Mandarin or Chinese, So it's very useful. It completely has its place. And
Yeah. If they want to do business or travel,
absolutely,
they're
absolutely. So, but
important.
but but teaching them in a way that's not like cutting their family views off at the knees. It's a very
Right.
delicate dance, but you need to do the dance, because if not,
Right.
those kids won't learn. I don't care how amazing your instruction or your plan is. If they're not invested and they don't think that it's important, then we're not going to be able to reach them like we would if we had taken the time. So it, pedagogy is instruction and assessment. You're planning instruction for all of the difference that you have, the diversity of your students, whether they be special ed, even planning for your difference for your gifted and talented. There's a section of special ed, and we need to always try to have a challenging expectation, high expectations for them all, but giving them maybe a varying choice for assessment. It's a way to give the students a sense of agency or control over their learning. And so they'll choose the one they know they're going to be successful in, and therefore be more successful in that one. So if maybe you could do like an oral assessment, or if you would rather write it down, or if you want to do a video submission, whatever the case may be, but giving them the opportunity, different opportunities to shine for the different myriad skill level, for the difference in learning preference. Not everyone is going to I was one of those persons that if I was going to take an exam, I don't care if it was in Spanish or if it was about science or math, like I would prefer to take an essay. Like I can articulate to you, yeah, that's me. There aren't a lot of people like me,
No.
right? At all. In fact, whenever we did get essay questions, everybody was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Thank God. Because I don't do
You'd
well.
rather do a presentation or something.
There you go. You'd rather do a presentation, and that's amazing. That's the way that you learn, and the way that you like to shine, or transfer that learning. And it's important to give students that opportunity. So anytime I would have if I'm not particularly grading grammar or your writing, like if it's not an actual writing assignment and that's like not the purpose of it, then I don't care. You can orally tell me, you can draw a picture of the scene, you can do a little like summarization, or whatever it is that that allows them to shine. I would give them several options, at least a few, for them to choose one that was like audio visual or tactile. If they want to do a mini presentation and put it all in, turn it in as a TikTok or something, then I would, I don't know if you guys can accept that, but utilizing some form of that media where it's so easy for them to make videos and put text to the videos, right on the video, so they could put like the definition there and then do an explanation and then put in a clip art or like a whatever. They know how to do stuff way better than we do. I'm telling you, my niece and nephew, their stuff is like off. I'm like, you are like a genius. You should work for Imagine.
I can't hear you there.
Did you hear me?
No, not that part. Sorry. I think
okay.
it's a signal. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's mine.
Okay.
I'm over here and in San Antonio, and it's a little windy today. And so anytime it's windy, or my internet is so sketchy and it keeps on saying it's unstable. So I do apologize.
No, it's fine.
They're really good at that stuff. I'm not sure what the legality is of them like turning in something like a TikTok, especially because the governor just banned it from like all public like university campuses. But there are lots of other things that they can do and make together and just like submit to you the video, or and I know that they use even some like video processing type media that are already on their school iPads and stuff like that, but giving them the option. You will still have people who just want to answer the questions, but I don't like multiple choice, because then I start to second guess myself. If I see other answers there, I'm like, well, is it? But if there are no answers and I just have to go off of what's in my brain, I'm going to knock it out of the park with a question, So, but everybody is, everyone's different. And that's what pedagogy is about, making sure that you remember best practices that come from our theories of language acquisition and our theories of assessment and instruction. So we don't assess them just to give them grades. We assess them to check for understanding, right? And to see, is our instruction and our planning on point? Are they making gains in listening, speaking, reading, and writing areas? Or are, do I need to change things up, add extra resources, or change the way I'm measuring them? Maybe they're getting it, but I'm just measuring it wrong and I need to do a couple of tweaks. So, but utilizing that and reflecting so that we give them the best lessons possible. So this one is over competency 1, and it says the LOTE teacher knows and understands language learning theories and theories of second language acquisition and their application to language other than English instruction and assessment to promote the learning goals defined in the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills, or TEKS for short, for LOTE, and to promote all student success as language learners. So that all student means, whatever the skill level is, whatever their socioeconomic, their disability, we're going to provide this effective second language instruction and assessment so that they can build. This one you just have to know the answer. You have to know the difference. This is not really one of those where you have to read particularly carefully, but are you familiar with with this question?
I was looking at flex and flex, and I was remembering that I was trying to memorize flex as X exposure.
Yeah.
So that's how I was remembering it. So I haven't read the question yet, but I was already looking at those two were standing out. And then the flex, it was elementary. And so that they have some exposure, but they need to know some of the I guess the language somewhat, whereas the flex was more of an exposure. So those two immediately just stand out.
Right.
But I haven't.
So you've not seen this one. So that's good. So let me show you how what I want for you to do on the day of the exam. So I want for you to read the question mindfully. And if there are grade levels that they throw out at you, it's possibly for a reason, because we do different things with different age groups, different strategies. Their brains are developed differently at the different times. So we do different things at different levels based on their growth and development, based on what we know of theories. So we have the K-6, a brochure for K-6 foreign language program states that the program goals are to introduce students to language learning, to help students be aware and appreciate other cultures, right? To enhance students' understanding of English and to motivate students to study. So enhance understanding of English, motivate students to study another language. So this particular type of program is one of these. And I think that you were pretty good in your assessment, but I want for you first to go through and identify keywords and phrases. What is it? What are we trying to figure out here? What's the goal here? Well, we just have to identify what type.
Well, the first thing was the K-6, so it's elementary and sixth grade, and then introduce, help them just to be aware and appreciate. So all those things that you highlighted, basically, and then it says understanding of English, but motivate them to study another language. So it's not full immersion. So I would cancel out A immediately.
Right. It's not A at all. No.
Yeah.
You can bet yourself $5 it's not A.
Yeah. And then the next one, so for that one was
so let's go back there. So we have this one, we have K through 6, that's kinder, right? Not kinder, excuse me. Kinder through 6th grade, that's elementary.
Sorry, you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there.
Okay, so the program goals are to introduce students to language learning,
Mm-hmm.
help students become aware and appreciative of other cultures,
Mm-hmm.
enhance students' understanding of English, and to motivate students to study another language. So, are they actually studying a foreign language at all in this program?
No, because it says motivate, but they're focusing on English, understanding of English. At least that's how I understand it.
Right. So there is some introduction
Some.
to language learning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then introducing them to different cultures to appreciate them. So do you think this is a bilingual education program?
No,
No, it's not.
no, they're
Certainly
not
not.
teaching you both.
No, they're not teaching. It's not a dual language. It's not bilingual.
No.
It's not any of that. So they're not even learning a language yet. We're just talking about different ones and enhancing our knowledge of English, like maybe taking words that they know in English and showing them the cognates in different languages. Because like even in Arabic, there are words that mean the similar thing and sound the same. So in Spanish and English, there's so many of them. So we're left with these two. One of them, and you have to read the answer choices just as carefully as um, the question in the scenario. So we have a foreign language in the elementary school. That's what the FLES program is. It's like an actual study of foreign language. A foreign language experience program does what do you think?
Just an experience. It just kind of gives you a taste of it, but it's not, you know,
Right. So
um,
which one best describes? Which one describes what are we
I
just
would say the experience one, the flex.
right? That's what I would say as well. Let's see if our ideas are in fact correct. D is correct. So our thinking was correct. Even though we weren't 100% sure, we were able to, based on the keywords and phrases, based on really understanding what are they doing in this program, but they're not actually learning a foreign language yet. What they're
Mhm.
doing is getting experience and building what I was talking about. Sometimes teachers have to build and take a while before they can get into the nitty-gritty of the foreign language, but building
Mhm.
that appreciation and awareness of the value of other cultures and other languages. And so this program helps build that early on so that when they get to you, they already are knowing like, man, people who you speak more than one languages are smarter, like period. They use more of their brain. It literally is fact. The more of your brain you use, the smarter you are. Three languages, even more so. So once they understand the power of learning foreign languages and they are aware and they appreciate diversity, then they excel so much more.
Mhm.
And their prior knowledge is so much stronger once they get to their junior high, um, classes.
Right.
So D, because the program described offers limited instruction in a foreign language, primarily on fostering foreign language and cultural awareness and appreciation. So A and C are incorrect because the students are not receiving all A or half of their instruction in the target language. So we knew that that wasn't it.
Mhm.
B is incorrect because the students are not participating in a sequential program of language instruction in order to reach a given proficiency level. So like my children, I guess what they were in this year was a foreign language experience program because they took Spanish at their elementary. They were like part of the Spanish club, and every Tuesday they'd stay after school for an hour. And after the second day, I started going every day to help. Just because it was one of the high school teachers and she had a classroom of all different grade levels from elementary after school at different levels of proficiency and skill, and she doesn't do like elementary. And so after my girls told me that they really didn't enjoy their
Oh,
experience, and I
I'm
was like,
sorry.
can you hear me?
There, you cut off where she said, and she doesn't.
Oh, and she doesn't have experience with the younger grade level,
Oh,
you know?
oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And so, and everyone that was in it had to pay, like it was 200 per each person, which I thought was unfair because I think it should be available to everyone.
Yeah.
But I actually went, and I would go and help or whatever, but it was not, it was like an hour long, but the bulk of it was playing games, singing songs, learning about particulars, but I would say the instruction of the actual second language was limited. So
Mm,
I haven't been to many campuses that offer Spanish classes at the elementary level, and I was so excited for this one, but it really wasn't what I expected. But the girls still had fun, and I had fun going with them. So, all right. Um, a foreign language teacher is planning a unit on a historical figure. Which of the following activities is most appropriate for a second grade immersion class? Now, we have lots of words. What
okay.
keywords and phrases do you have to pay attention to?
So she is a foreign language teacher planning a unit.
Unit,
Um, so
on a historical
historical
figure.
figure. Which
What
of the
else?
following activities is the most appropriate
Mm-hmm.
uh, for a second grade immersion class? So it's okay. So second grade immersion class. So
Immersion class. And most appropriate, whenever they say most appropriate, it's because they may have given you more than one appropriate, but
uh,
which is why you can get down to the two answer choices and say like, oh my god, they both look good. They
mhm,
probably gave you more than one reasonable response. One is more appropriate than the other based on the specifics of the scenario and the
mhm.
question. So this is a teacher, she wants to do a historical figure unit, and we're in a second grade immersion class. We're looking for an activity that would best suit second grade and immersion. Okay, so we have completing worksheets for practice with past tense verb forms so students can speak and write about the historical figure's life. Reading storybooks in the target language to the students about the historical figure's life and contributions to society. Translating the most important events of the historical figure's life into the students' first language. Showing a video in English about current events in the country where the historical figure was born. So what can you, I don't want you to ever be like A's right and not paying attention to any of them, or like B's wrong and not pay attention to it anymore. Because sometimes you do that and that's the right answer. And now you have 0% chance of getting it right if you automatically, or sort of like the opposite of mindfulness, like willy-nilly eliminate an answer choice. So we're going to give each of them their due process and measure each of them against the goal. So we're looking for an activity that's most appropriate for second grade immersion. That's the goal of this foreign language teacher. And it has to be about the historical figure. She's planning this unit. We need to match that up and along with best practice. So which one of these can we eliminate and bet ourselves $5? That is not it.
The completing worksheets, because I sub and I've subbed second graders and they don't have the
Nobody
attention.
wants to do this worksheets. You'll lose the attention of
No.
seventh graders if you only give worksheets.
The past tense verbs, I feel like that's too much for
Mhm. Second
second
grade.
graders. Um, the reading books is good. That's second grade. Translating the most important events of the historical figure's life. Well, I feel that's a little hard too for them. And I feel D would be easy too, because it's showing them a video in English though about current events in the country where, oh, but it's, yeah, no,
Yeah, D, you can bet yourself $5 that this is not going to be
no.
useful. It's not even that close to what the goal is. It's about a
No.
historical figure, not necessarily the culture. Plus it's not let me see. Remember, she's planning a unit on a historical figure. We're looking for activities that are most appropriate. And we're down to 2, and you're right. You might do both of these or some of these, right? But which should you do always in an immersion class? Like, you want to do what is best practice? We're in 2nd grade.
If it's immersion class, the target language, this one says reading storybooks in the target language. To me, that's more 2nd grade, just from experience. Translating the most important events of the historical figure's life into students' first language. I mean, that's important too, but
which is best and more important?
Reading about the historical figure's life.
Yeah, I would think so. Reading storybooks. There's storybooks. You're going to be understanding stories. That's what 2nd graders, I think, will sort of gain, or it'll resonate, speak to them. So B is correct, because reading storybooks in the target language provides information in an accessible format, and it is consistent with an immersion program approach. A is incorrect because the use of, like you said, the use of past tense verb forms will likely be too difficult at the 2nd grade level, and completing the worksheets would not necessarily prepare the students to be able to speak and write and even listen about the historical figure's life in past tense. 2 quite complex tasks. We need to have them listening to speech sounds being made. A native English speaker or an expert English speaker practicing the grammar, practicing the pronunciation of the words, and explanation and the connections to the visuals. So that doesn't happen. Like, worksheets are so limiting. Like, I don't think that any correct answer will have worksheets in it.
Yeah, no.
Or at least it shouldn't.
Not for that grade, at least. It's yeah, they're just learning.
Okay, so here's another one where you have to find those keywords and phrases. We have a teacher of beginning foreign language class would like to introduce to novice mid-learners some new vocabulary related to food and drink. Which of the following instructional strategies would be beneficial to oral? Is it oral? I always oral. Oral. I think it's like people who are like audio, like oral learners in the teacher's classroom. Select all that apply. Or maybe not.
I thought on the standards there was something that I had to look up the definition, and I don't remember if it was that word. And this one, select all that apply.
Yes, that's right.
I don't know if you're talking. It's quiet right now.
Sorry, it was my dog's over there barking.
Oh, okay. No.
So yes, let's take a look. What keywords and phrases? She wants to do what? What's her goal here?
So for like, and she wants to introduce to novice. So, novice to me, they're not advanced, so they're not going to do very, very hard stuff. It's more like speaking. Okay, so
right, because she's teaching beginning foreign language, right? And she wants to give them new vocabulary with food and drink, right? And we're looking for
Mhm.
an instructional strategy that will be beneficial to oral difficult word learners.
Oral, that is hearing, right?
I mean, I
Oral meaning. Sorry, I'm gonna have to look up.
yeah.
Relating to the ear or sense of hearing. Okay, yes. Um, okay. So
And
asking,
remember, whenever they say all that apply, that means there's more than one.
there's
So
more than one.
yeah,
Okay.
read through these and tell me, do they is there any speech or listening involved?
Okay. So asking, she's asking students to complete a fill in the blank exercise while listening to a recorded dialogue set in the restaurant. Okay. Okay, so that's listening. Okay. Bringing food and drink from a target culture into the classroom for them to try. No, that doesn't involve
Listening
listening
at
or
all.
speaking.
So it cannot be the
Okay.
right answer, right? We can bet ourselves
Right.
$5. That's not it.
Having students read authentic restaurant menus written in the target language. So they're reading, they're hearing, maybe. Projecting photos, saying each word, and having students repeat the words out loud. Um, Goodness. Okay. Well,
Hold on one moment.
okay.
I'm so sorry. Hi, I'm sorry. I'm doing a session right now. Can I call you back? Okay, sorry. Bye. Um, okay, I knew it. All right. So yes, we have, let's go back to our keywords and phrases. Remember, what is her goal? Her goal is to get them to learn new vocabulary. So
New
which one of
vocabulary.
these would be both good for oral learners and help them learn new vocabulary?
Um, the menu, uh, having students read authentic restaurant menus because it has words, uh, written in the target language. New vocabulary, that's what's throwing me off a little bit because all of them could be new words for them.
Right.
Um, Related to food, projecting photos, saying each word, having students, okay, that one doesn't say if it's related to food. It could be having students read authentic restaurant menus. That's more food related words. And A is more food related words. So I would cancel D just because it doesn't mention food.
Yeah, it doesn't
So
mention food, but maybe, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's,
I don't know.
I don't know
C
either.
has authentic restaurant menus. So they're learning some words there, but they're reading it. So they're just reading it to themselves. And the other
Yeah,
one, they're
that's no,
actually
like they're reading
listening.
it to themselves. So that's not even using, the
They're listening.
right.
And A, it says they're actually listening to a recorded dialogue set in a restaurant. So there's food words being spoken, like
Right.
food vocabulary.
And fill in the blank exercises are really like sort of like question, like sentence stems, you know what I mean? Where they're completing the thought or the message within it. And so if they can do that, they build more competency in language in that way. We utilize fill in the blank exercises like that for English language learners when I'm teaching my English class, right? Just in reverse. So
Hmm.
I think that would be right, but I want to say that there's more than one, correct? And it might be the projecting.
Oh, that's true. Oh, wow. I totally see that.
Yeah, don't
I need to
forget, don't
be
just do one and
careful.
done. Yeah, this one was specific and they said all that applies. So I'm just thinking there's more than one.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the next one, I mean, oh goodness. Um, oh, well, D, I mean, it doesn't specify food, but it says that she's projecting photos, saying each word, and they're actually repeating them out loud.
Right,
So
exactly. So they're
they're getting
double hearing, right?
good.
They're hearing it from
Yeah,
her and then they're hearing the whole class repeat it out loud.
right.
So I
So
would say A and D are good answers still.
yeah, yeah, because of the all that apply, I would say those two. And if there should be another bringing food and drink, I would say no. Having students read authentic restaurant menus written. I
It's
mean, C, just because they're
they're
just
reading it to
reading it,
themselves. Like I don't even know if they're reading it out loud.
right? So A and D would probably be the
A and
best.
D are correct. There you
Yes.
go.
Okay, yeah.
A and D, but you've got to be very careful that they do the things that they're supposed to be doing, right? Since it was oral, that meant speaking, listening, and you were able to eliminate the bad ones because both of them will hear spoken words and say the words aloud themselves to reinforce them in memory. Um,
Wow.
See, reading menus in the target language involves the sense of hearing, neither reading menus.
Yeah. Okay. That helped to make a mental note to make sure I read the question well.
Absolutely. Yeah, you've got to
All that
certainly do that.
apply. Okay. Um, according to the American Council on the Teaching Plan, which of the following reading tasks would be best assigned for? Okay, so
So you're looking for
mm,
something for novice high
uh,
level learners.
so those can already somewhat like read and or make sentences.
Right, not
Um,
novice high level learners for sure. And I believe that there's like a, and we'll look at it in just a moment, but there is a like a, I think a guide or something that would show.
yeah,
Oh, you have
I
it.
I actually yeah I had printed it. And I was trying to make notes on it.
Mhm.
Um, and so novice, but see for novice, I just put simple conversations, ask, respond, minimal phrases, lists, simple questions.
Right. And so when they get to novice high, they might be getting ready to jump to the next level where they'll begin again low, and then
Read,
gain
write,
their way
speak.
up. So they might know a bit more than just a few lists and might be able to begin conversations, not like academic specific, but getting better at maybe the social language and
Okay.
conversational text. But so let's see what they have. So they want to they're looking asking us specifically about their reading level, and we're novice high, which means they're not going to be able to read a whole bunch, but they should have some language learned at the novice high level. So we're looking at identifying cultural references in the text, deducing meaning through visual cues, discussing the style of the text, making inferences about the text.
Okay. Um, and this one is just one answer, right? Okay,
Right.
yeah.
This is just
Identifying cultural references in the text. I don't think that would be that hard to identify cultural
mhm.
references. But okay, deducing meaning through visual cues. So you said reading tasks and
Right.
then through visual cues, that's a little different. Um, discussing the style of the text, making inferences about the text. So I don't know, for me, B would not be something right now that I would look at. I may be wrong, but just because it says visual cues and we're trying to read.
Right. And so I think actually, if I think back to, or like to even my daughter who's in first and second grade, they use visual cues also to help them. So they might have like a picture of a tree and a man and a dog, and there's a story about that. And so like those visual cues help them understand or
Oh,
deduce the
gotcha.
meaning and fill in the blank. Or like manzana, and then there's like an apple, like another, and you cut it out and you connect the word with the visual cue like that. And I think that might be something that you would use with novice high learners still,
Okay.
depending on so I wouldn't rule it out
Okay.
just yet.
Um, Identifying cultural references in the text. Discussing, maybe not discussing yet.
Yeah, the style. That style goes way past, like, style is you already understand the language, and now we're talking about the nuance of the language, this particular
Mhm.
style. So I feel like that is above novice
Like,
high at this moment.
yeah, yeah, that's too high for them. Making inferences, I mean, I don't know. I think that's not something that's not hard to do, to make an inference about something, but maybe at the level they are, maybe they can't do that yet.
Maybe not, because actually inferencing, because I taught English language arts for many, many years, but inferencing is one of the TEKs that, oh my goodness, it plagues like every campus I've ever been on, because a
Oh,
lot of times the students have difficulty, and that's because English is their first language and they can't inference reading in the text. Like there's skills that have to be built. So it actually, especially if it's a second language, I think it's doubly difficult, because in order to make inferences, you have to know some socially, like some social knowledge too, and like have some context. So I think that might be a little bit too above, maybe.
mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I agree. I wouldn't think D would be the answer. If if I had to choose, I guess, okay, so A and B, identifying cultural references. Um, I mean, when they start with learning culture and words, vocabulary and words and culture. So, oh, man, this one's hard. Deducing meaning through visual cues. I don't know why that one's not. I don't know why I don't feel like that would be the answer, but
Yeah.
you were explaining that, they do learn through connecting like the pictures
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I would say A, but I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. I just feel like,
Okay, let's see.
ah.
So yeah, B is correct, but those visual clues, like I said, the picture
Yeah.
next door, and the clues will help them like understand, like, oh, there's a dog and a man and a tree, and like the words they'll think about what's going on in that scenario and be able to understand the reading a little bit better with those visual clues.
I
And
see.
also with learning vocabulary, right? Those visual connections help them, with learning the language. So
Mhm.
novice level students are able to arrive at the meaning of texts that deal with familiar topics or that contain those visual aids. So I always tell my teachers, if you have ELL students, you better be providing visual about anything. Like, show all the different examples you could possibly find,
Okay.
And yeah, to illustrate for them that new word or that new idea as best as possible. So visual aids are great always.
Okay. Yeah, no.
So the other
That
one,
helps.
cultural references, discussing style and making inferences are tasks that are too difficult for the novice level reader. And the making inferences, they probably have to be at like the advanced one to do that, to be able to
Yeah,
observe and
yeah.
also discuss style, I think.
Yeah. I don't know. I got stuck on the cultural just because, the cultural was, but yeah, it makes sense now.
Yeah. And you won't get it wrong next time. You know, when if you get a question like this, you'll already know that
Yeah.
utilize, especially with our beginners, with our novice, visual,
Visual clues.
lots of practice listening and speaking, talking to each other. Let's talk about it. Let's write about it, talk about it, and then talk about it some more. Okay, I'm actually going to have to let you go, but if
Yeah.
you'd like to make another session, you're more than welcome to continue to do what you're doing.
Okay.
And remember
Yes.
to use your strategies on the day of the exam. You know, look, what is the keywords and phrases? And then what am I looking for? What's the goal for the teacher in this scenario? Make sure that whatever answer choice you choose, that it addresses that goal, and that those keywords and phrases are taken care of.
Yes. No, that was very helpful to see you like highlight everything, and it's just kind of uh it taught me to, okay, I need to focus on that, and also the question at the end, make sure I'm answering all the questions, if
Right.
it's
All the
all or
parts of the
just
questions,
one.
right? All the different
Yeah.
pieces.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. You have a beautiful rest of your week. Happy
You
Monday.
too.
And let me know if you want to get together again. We'll go over some more.
Will do. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Bye.
Bye bye.